Hi, Class 703. This is Maureen O'Reilly, your instructor. I just have a few last pieces of information to give you before our course ends in a little under 2 weeks. So as we're entering week 7, I wanted to remind everybody that by midnight tonight, your pass is due, the pass to your e-portfolio. Now remember, last Sunday I sent out an email with Dr. Connell's information. And what she said was go through to step 5 in the process. Stop there. Don't expect anything in your inbox, an invoice or a link or anything like that, because that isn't set up correctly right now. Right now, I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 passes, so 11 of you still need to submit those by tonight. And how would you do that? Well, you can either take a screenshot and include it in an email to me through Brandman, or you can simply write down the number that you get on your receipt and put that in an email and send it to me. So I'm trying to respond to everybody and make sure that you understand that I did get it. Hopefully I won't miss anybody. But I don't delete my emails, so I can go back and check if there's any misunderstanding. But please get that pass into me. Also, remember that there'll be one final office hour. That's this coming Wednesday, December 9th, and that will be, let's see, from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or 7 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Again, Wednesday, the 9th, and you can come in, drop out. It's certainly not mandatory, but if you have questions regarding any of these final assignments, anything that's going on in your life that you need to let me know about, certainly feel free to come to the office hour. And if that doesn't work for your schedule, please email me, or if it's really urgent, you can text or call me. I wanted to tell you all, there's an article in the Harvard Business Review for this month. It's called Team Building in the Cafeteria. It will take you less than 5 minutes to read, whether you read it now or whether you read it during Christmas break or sometime in the future. But it's a great little article because I've seen this technique work wonderfully for leaders where people share a meal. Um, Once a week, daily, however often you want to do it. But in leadership, you want to consider actions like this as a way to communicate and also to build your team. So volume 93, pages 211 to 215, I would recommend you read that. The assignments this week include two um, pieces. One is the discussion board. And I'm going to emphasize yet again, please copy and paste the topic into your entry as you begin. So many of you in the last discussion board lost points because you didn't really complete what was asked of you. Perhaps you read it, but by the time you're through writing your entry, you've sort of lost those details. And you need to remember to stay on track and on topic. So copy and paste. Make sure you cover all 3 topics in this week's discussion board. It's asking, as a leader, and remember, as a DNP, you are expected to be a researcher, a scholar, and a leader once you graduate. So as a leader, how do you propose to communicate shared vision? You only have to give like one example of one thing that you think of that you would like to do. How would you address fear of change? Again, a single example. And then how do you include everybody who needs to be involved, especially where change is involved? Remember, you must use at least one outside reference. Please don't forget about that. The second assignment this week is your signature assignment. It's finally come due. It's your 10-page paper. Now, the 10 pages will exclude the title, the abstract. Remember, an abstract should be 2 to 4 sentences summarizing the thrust of your paper, references, and any appendices. So those 10 pages should really be the textual part. APA should be correct. Citations, references, please check those carefully against APA to make sure you're doing them correctly. And use citations when you need to. If you have any question, you don't want to have patchwork plagiarism in your paper. You don't want to have uncited references in your paper. Another thing, in the philosophy paper that was due last week, many of you did not use headings, and I would strongly suggest their use. See page 62 in the APA 6th edition. Make sure you're using headings correctly. And another piece of advice is pause for paragraphs. If you were talking to someone, you would have pauses in the conversation where they could respond, where they could think. And so you need to do the same thing in your paper. If you're starting a new topic, start a new paragraph. If you're changing the path of a topic, pause for a new paragraph. Otherwise, when I see a page and a half as a single paragraph, I really have to wonder about your writing skills, number one. But number two, it makes it very, very difficult as a reader to continue to track the topic through that much text. Giving a paragraph is a signal to your reader. Take a moment here, think about that. Now let's on to the next thing. And here's my biggest piece of advice to you. Find a classmate, perhaps somebody in this class or another course that you know from your DNP program. Find somebody you know who has experience reading and writing. Go to the library writing resource center. Whatever you do, get somebody to read your paper before you submit it. There's just no way that you can catch small writing or grammar errors 100%. You just can't do that. But even more importantly is to make sure that what you're saying makes sense. First, show the person the rubric so they know what it is you're trying to accomplish. Then give them the paper. Hopefully, it shouldn't take them more than 15 to 20 minutes to read it, and then give you some advice to make sure that you're submitting your very best effort. And remember, in this paper, what you're talking about is, first of all, you're going to briefly describe your project, the DNP project that you've proposed, and what the intervention is, what it is that you're going to do to make a change. Describe the organization where you're going to try and make this change. Several people have asked me, can they name the organization? I would suggest not. Professionally, you would usually use Organization X or Hospital Y. There isn't really any pertinent need to actually identify the hospital or organization where you're going to plan and implement this intervention. So you want to describe them, and I've talked in previous videos about everything from how many beds they have to what their organizational structure looks like, what their mission, vision, and values might look like. Again, this is summarizing, not enormous detail. But you certainly do want to say, what kind of leadership and innovation culture is in this organization? That's what this whole course was about. If you're missing that, you're missing the point of the paper. So please make sure that you're using your texts, your resources, outside resources, to describe this well. What is the organizational climate for change? Are they ready? A year from now, are they trying to get ready for magnet certification? And that's going to retard any efforts like yours to implement an intervention because they're just too darn busy. What is going on in this particular organization, hospital, healthcare system that may help or retard your efforts to implement change? And then identify points of expected and or needed change. You probably have enough familiarity with where you're going to do your project to say what's going to help and what's going to hinder. And you can probably predict what are going to be the success rate with your implementation. Are you going to have pushback from nursing? Is there a particular physician who doesn't like change at all and wants you not to do this project? Where are you going to find success? Do you have a particular mentor that you work with at that organization that is wonderfully positive and really wants you to succeed. So there's lots of positives and negatives, but you need to find some and describe them. And then what is your plan for creating a favorable organizational climate? Is it going personally to meet with all the stakeholders to make sure that they're on board with your change and understand what it's going to entail? And educational programs. Perhaps you're going to have to use email, a video like this, a live presentation to talk with staff to prepare them for the change and what they need to do. So whatever you're going to do. And appendices detailing specific organizational charts or other considerations. This might just be the shorthand way, so you don't have to describe it at length in your paper. So you can copy and paste their organizational chart, or say they have a statement about using Lean or Six Sigma or one of those other change methods. You can use those as appendices to your paper, again, to cut down on the amount of writing and explaining that you have to do. You can simply refer to them in your paper. Last, make sure you look through the rubric and also at the bottom what it is you need to do to succeed. So, exceptionally thorough, insightful description, exceptional understanding and relevance of the organizational structure to change and project implementation, excuse me. All those points are really what you want to read through maybe 3 or 4 times before you start. Maybe paste up on the wall next to where you're typing so you can refer to it. And certainly, certainly use those points in the paragraph at the top to help you decide on your headings, and make sure that those points below are covered beneath those headings. Headings are just like, they're sort of the Big Bang version of me asking you to copy and paste the topic into your discussion board so that you stay on track and cover all required topics. If you use headings, what I would always do when I was typing a paper was I would type my headings and then go back within the Word document and do the text underneath headings. So not only were my headings correct that way, but I never lost points and never lost the logic of what I was trying to explain in my paper by missing a heading. So I hope those points help you, and I'm certainly glad to talk with you by email. If it's more urgent, by text or phone call. Please stay in touch if you have any concerns. Thanks. Have a good Sunday.